NASCAR thought they had a Shane van Gisbergen problem. They were wrong. They've got a Connor Zilisch problem, and it's worse. Because while every camera in America was locked on Shane, the greatest road racer this sport has ever imported, a teenager was doing something in the corners that a rookie should not physically be able to do. Same braking markers as SVG, same rotation, same exit speed, off a resume that had barely any stock car laps on it. And at Sonoma, the track SVG treats like his own backyard. This kid didn't just hang with him. He put Shane van Gisbergen in his mirrors and made the king blink. What SVG did next tells you everything about whether Zilisch is the real threat or just hype. Hang tight because that moment is coming. But first you need to understand why beating this man was supposed to be impossible. Let's be honest about who we're talking about. Shane van Gisbergen is a three-time Australian Supercars champion. He won on his very first NASCAR Cup start on a street course, something that had not happened in 60-odd years. He rolls into Sonoma, and it's almost boring. In the 2025 Cup race here, Shane led 97 of the 110 laps. 97. He tied Jeff Gordon's record for consecutive road course wins. He's now sitting on 9 career road course wins across NASCAR's National Series, tied with Kyle Busch and Gordon, legends of the sport, and he did it in about 2 years. Here's what makes him different. It's not raw speed. Plenty of guys have speed. It's the trail braking. Shane carries the brake deep into the corner, bleeds it off with his feet while the car rotates and gets to throttle a fraction earlier than everyone else. It's a Supercars habit burned into him over 15 years, and the Cup field simply doesn't have it in their muscle memory. Absolute masterclass. When the road courses come around, the rest of the grid isn't racing for the win. They're racing for second. So when a kid with almost zero stock car mileage shows up and starts matching that, that's not supposed to happen unless that kid learned to drive in a completely different school than everyone else in the garage. And that's exactly what nobody saw coming. Here's the thing that makes Connor Zilisch dangerous, and it's the part the mainstream coverage keeps glossing over. Zilisch did not come up through late models and dirt tracks like a normal American stock car kid. He came up through sports cars and Trans Am go-karts from age 5, then straight into sports car racing, GT machinery, and the Trans Am TA2 series, where he won on debut and set track records as the youngest driver to ever lead a session. Why does that matter? Because sports car and Trans Am racing teaches you the exact same thing SVG learned in Supercars heavy, powerful cars that you have to brake deep and rotate on the throttle. Zilisch didn't have to unlearn oval habits to go road racing. He was built on the same foundation as Shane. That's the secret. Everybody else in the Cup garage is a stock car specialist trying to adapt to a road course a handful of times a year. Zilisch is a road course native who happens to be driving a stock car. He sent it into the corner with a confidence guys with 400 Cup starts don't have. And the numbers back it up. In his 2025 Xfinity season, he racked up 10 wins and a record-breaking 18 consecutive top 5 finishes. The best winning percentage the series has ever seen. This is not a fluke driver. This is a generational one. But raw talent and records don't mean anything until you put him wheel to wheel with the best on the planet on the best man's home track. So let's go back to Sonoma and that moment I promised you real quick, because this next part is the good stuff. Most fans just see the highlights of who crossed the line first. Cool, move on. You're here because you want the telemetry. You want to know why the kid was fast, not just that he was fast. If you want this level of deep dive decoding on every single race, hit that subscribe button and join the NASCAR Nation community. We break down what the broadcasts skip. All right, back to Sonoma. Forget the Cup race for a second. Go to the 2025 Xfinity race, because that's where the two of them went to war directly. Same team, JR Motorsports, front row lockout, and between them, they led 70 of the 79 laps. Third place finished a full 13 seconds behind. This was a two-man fight, and everybody else was a spectator. The margin at the flag, 0.438 of a second after 79 laps of Sonoma. Watch the S's with 2 laps to go. SVG reels him in, gets to the bumper, and gives him a shove. The classic move to unsettle a leader. Anywhere else, that's Zilisch off the track. Instead, the kid catches the slide, corrects it, and keeps the lead. That's the sports car reflexes. That's the car control that doesn't come from stock cars. Then the final lap into turn 7, SVG throws everything at him, gets alongside it, but wheel hops the entry and pushes wide. In Shane's own words, "I tried every trick I could. He drove so well and I couldn't get him." And here's the tell. Into the final hairpin, turn 11, Shane admitted he could have moved Zilisch out of the way, bumped him wide, taken the win, and he chose not to. He raced him clean. The greatest road racer in the series looked at the teenager in front of him and decided the only way past was to wreck him. That's the moment from the hook. The kid beat him straight up. SVG second sucks, he said, and the fact that Shane had to think about dumping him tells you the pace was real, not a gift. But before you crown Connor the new king, the 2026 Cup story adds a twist nobody's talking about. Because here's the kicker. In 2026, Zilisch didn't just move up to Cup, he moved into Trackhouse Racing, the same organization SVG anchors their teammates, which means the student and the master now share a shop, share data, and share a garage. And at the 2026 Cup race at Sonoma, look who lined up on the front row for the final stage. Zilisch, right alongside Shane. The rookie ran as high as 3rd and was in the mix for a top 5 before his car faded late and he brought it home 7th. His first ever Cup top 10. In a brutal rookie season, sitting 34th in points, Sonoma was the day it clicked. SVG still won. He still finished 19 seconds up the road. On raw Cup pace, the master is not dethroned, not yet. But that's the whole point. Give this kid a full season of Cup mileage, the same equipment, and the same data feed as the best road racer alive, and the gap is measured in seasons, not seconds. The verdict? SVG is still the king today, but he is the first road course specialist NASCAR has ever seen who has a genuine heir already inside his own building. And that heir came up the exact same way he did, so I want to hear it. Is Connor Zilisch a future NASCAR champion who takes the road course crown for the next decade? Or is he a flash in the pan riding a hot Xfinity season? Drop your take in the comments, and I mean it. I'm replying to everyone today. If you learned something, smash that subscribe button and join NASCAR Nation. I'll see you in the next one.